Hi everybody, thanks for pressing play on the video today. It's Caroline here from craftycarolinecreates.com. This is today's project that we are going to be making in a minute. A really good sized gift box with a lovely tree aperture on the top and a nice matching tag. But before we move on to that, let me just show you something very exciting that I have in front of me. Yesterday was a very exciting day because as a demonstrator I was able to order it from the brand new Spring Summer catalogue, which is launching on the 4th of January. How exciting. I will be sending copies of this out to all of my customers in a couple of weeks in the middle of December. If you have not shopped with me before, it would be my pleasure to send you a copy though. Please pop over to craftycarolinecreates.com and you can request a catalogue through there and I will pop one in the post to you with pleasure. If you would like to see in the catalogue even earlier and would like to order from it straight away, why don't you pop over to craftycarolinecreates.com and look at joining my team and becoming a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'd love to talk to you about the opportunity that can bring in terms of discounts on your own spend and, as I said, getting your hands on these beautiful products before Christmas. That's enough of the sales pitch. Let us move on to this gorgeous box, which, as I said, is a really good size. It is 3 inches by 2.5 inches by 3 3/4 inches deep, so it is a really good size box. I designed it to take what is inside, which if I just slide off the rope, is a jar of my homemade mango chutney, which I made at the weekend. This is the best chutney in the world. I do actually have a video showing you how to make this that I filmed last year and never released, so I might think about putting that out. It is really good chutney, but you could fit so many other things in here as well. Scented candles would also work really well, sort of pillar candles. I've left this open because it's got quite a jar inside. Nothing's going to fall out. You could always pop some window sheet behind it, fill it up with chocolates, all sorts of different things that you could use it for. So let me put the rope and the tag back on. Okay, I'll just move that on to one side and we will start making it. So let's get started with some scoring. I'm going to bring in the scoreboard. Oh, don't focus, there we go. And this is cherry cobbler cardstock that measures 8 1/4 by 11 inches. And we're going to start by scoring along the long side at 2.5 inches, 5 1/4 inches, 7 3/4 inches, and 10 1/2 inches. Okay, rotate that 90 degrees, and along the short side we're going to score it at 1 1/2 inches, 5 1/4 inches, and 7 3/4 inches. Okay. As always, the dimensions will be over on my blog, craftycarolinecreates.com, so you can pop over there if you miss any of the dimensions that I've just given you, and they will be on there. Let's do some folding and burnishing of those score lines. And a few in this direction. There we go. And just that last one there. And what we're going to do is we're going to trim the box down before we start die cutting it. So if you want to follow along, we are going to start at the bottom of the cardstock here where we've got that 1 1/2 inch score line going in the opposite direction, not the other end where we've got a little score line. And we are going to cut up each score line like this all the way along the bottom. There's 4 of them. Okay, and we're going to cut off this little flap we are left with here. Okay, rotate your cardstock round, and what we're going to do this time is we've got the score line at 1/2 inch there and then a longer one here. We're going to cut up each of these past the first score line to the second. Okay, just cut that off, that end bit off, and then we're going to cut up the remaining 3. I was thinking, is it 4 score lines or 3? It's 3 of the remaining 3 score lines, just like that. Okay. And we can see then that this is going to roll up and fold up sort of like this, okay? So this is going to be our back where our join is. So this is going to be our front here. Okay, I just want to check that's how I want it to be. No, we want to make this one our front. So you can see what we've got is 2 larger panels and 2 smaller panels, and the larger one here, this is going to be the front of our box. So the first thing we're going to do is cut off this whole flap here. Okay, so just cut along there. There we go. And we're left with something like this, okay? So this is going to be our flap that comes forward. So we're going to leave this one with the flap at the top, and the other 2 flaps we have remaining, we're going to just slice off like that, and on this one as well. Okay, still with me? Let me put that down so you can see what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of really quick corner rounding. And we're just going to round the corners on this flap here, on this flap here, and then on this flap at the end we're also going to round that corner there, one, and that corner there. And we end up now with something that looks like this. Okay, and now it's time to start cutting our tree aperture. And for that I'm going to use the Perfect Pines framelets. You have seen me use a lot. I think these are really beautiful dies. You get 3 different sized Christmas trees, and we're going to use the middle sized one. And we're just going to use that to cut a hole in the middle there. But before we do that, and it's a good job I remembered, we're going to stick our mats down. So I have 4 mats. I have 2 that measure 2 inches. What do these measure? Sorry, 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, and 2 that measure 2 3/4 of an inch by 3.5 inches. And you can see the larger ones are going to go on our larger. These aren't the right size, Caroline. Made them the wrong size. I think I need to go and double check what I've measured those to, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I fixed it. For some reason I thought they needed to be 1/4 of an inch larger than they did. So what you need is 2 at 2 1/4 by 3.5 and 2 at 2.5 by 3.5 inches. So I have laid them down. I'm just going to use, let's use some, I was going to use snail because then it'll dry quicker, but I don't have any to hand. So let's use some Tombow on the back of each of these. Okay. I'm just going to stick these down in the centre of each of those panels. Now this one we are going to cut the centre out, so you do want to make sure that this one is stuck down well around the edges. Okay, just line those up. Next one. Yeah. Pop, pop, pop. There we go. And our last one. Just there. Okay. Yeah. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so now we're going to cut out that tree. As I said, we're going to use the middle-sized tree from the Perfect Pines. Is it called Perfect Pines? What did I say it was called? Perfect Pines thinlet dies. They are in the annual catalogue actually. I think when I've used them before, people have asked me where I got them from. They're in the annual catalogue, not the Christmas catalogue. If you want to take a closer look at those. So we're going to cut out this aperture. So all I've done is folded in the flaps on the other 3, because yeah, we got that, folded in these flaps. So that, because we haven't got a flap here, this will cut neatly straight through. So let's just bring in a big shot, and I've got my magnetic platform on already. Let's go in this way. Oh, and I forgot, you do need to put a cutting plate underneath there. Don't cut directly onto your magnetic platform, as I was just about to do there. Okay, now my my cutting plate is not exactly flat anymore. Somebody did give me a really good tip of every time you cut, turn your plates upside down, and that will stop them warping. A bit of a late tip for me because mine have already warped, so the magnetic platform isn't working as well as it should. But I'm going to get some more plates. I'm going to follow that advice, and then hopefully should never have that issue again. So I'm just going to use a tiny little bit of washi tape to hold that in place very lightly. Post-it notes also work really well for this. I think that is pretty much where I want it to be. And then put my top plate in, and then we're just going to roll it through. Roll it through, just watch the end as we go in, don't want to tear that. Roll it back out. Okay. And then we just take that off. Oops, up at the bottom as well. Move the big shot out of the way. I'm just going to gently peel off my washi tape. You see that's popped out beautifully. Peel off my washi tape gently so you don't tear your paper. There we go, that's come off nicely. And there we've got that lovely aperture shape, and you can always keep this and use that for something else. Okay, now we're going to build up our box. So we're going to take this little flap here, and we're going to run some of our fast fuse along here. Okay, and then just fold over like that and press that down there. Okay, and then our bottom, these two sets I'm going to fold in. Now, in order to get it out of standard size cardstock, you're not going to get a solid bottom, so you just need to fold them in and over like that. So what I would recommend is firstly fuse along the edge, at one edge like that, and fold that up, and put your hand inside the box if you need to, and then fuse on both of the other flaps on there, and fold that over to begin with. There we go. And then lastly here. Okay, there we go. So that is our box nicely folded up. These flaps will just fold over, and then our little tab should push nicely in there. It does beautifully. Perfect. So that is our box basically done. Just going to finish it off with some ribbon and a tag. The tag I have made using the fabulous, let me show you it. Oh, I don't know if the light's very good. I am having to film a lot more at night now with having small children, so the light's not as good as I would like. But these tags are fantastic. These are the Merriest Wishes, I think they're called, or Merriest Tags maybe. Yeah, Merriest Tags framelit dies. And these are actually going to retire, so you can't buy them after the end of December, very beginning of January. But because of that, they are on at a fantastic price in the clear out sale that Stampin' Up are having at the moment to make space for all those new products we were talking about earlier. So these dies are on at a really good price. I don't think they'll be around for long actually. The price is too good for a lot of people to resist. And I've used the Christmas tree here to make this tag. I have showed you these this die set in a different video for a tag gift set, so I'll link that below if you haven't seen those dies in action. But that is the tag that I have made, and this is just gonna go, I think, on the side or on the top. You can see I've put to and from there. Going to grab some of this, which is also retiring, and again you can get it at bargain price, and this is 15 meters, I think. Yeah, about 13.7 meters, 15 yards of ribbon. I think it's down as low as about £3, I think, in that clearance rack. So do go and pop over if you haven't checked that sale out yet. And I know a lot of you shopped like crazy yesterday to take advantage of those deals. Okay, so got a tag on. I'm just going to come round. I'm going to loop it round twice, because I've got a lot of it, because it's such a great price. I think it's always been a good price actually, this ribbon, rope, whatever you want to call it. It's always been a fab price. It's quite manly, isn't it? As I said, I'm going to be putting my jams and chutneys in, but you could get like a little mini bottle of whiskey or something, and that could look quite nice and rustic in here, couldn't it? I'm just going to tie that off in a flat knot and trim off the edges. Okay. And there we go. I think that is a really nice, very simple gift box, as I said, inspired by something I saw in the body shop. But I think just a really good sized, very pretty gift box. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or there's anything I can help with and you'd like to shop any Stampin' Up items, just get in touch. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.